Take back control. Everyone knows that slogan. And everyone
Clive
knows what it meant on immigration.
Migrant Immigration Control speech from King
Because what followed from the previous government,
Starmer,
starting with
Prime Minister of England,
used that slogan, was
House
the
of Parliament,
complete opposite.
UK 25 times down at the bottom.
Even as they were going around our country, telling people with a straight face that they would get immigration down, net migration quadrupled until in 2023 it reached nearly 1 million. That's about the population of Birmingham,
Times
our
the bottom.
second largest city.
It's the 12th of May,
That's not
Monday morning, guys, 2025.
It's chaos. And look, they must answer for themselves. But I don't think that you can do something like that by accident. It was a choice made even.
Comment in the box below what you think about this.
They were doing the opposite. A one nation experiment in open borders, conducted on a country that voted for control. Well, no more. Today, this Labour government is shutting down the lab. The experiment is over. We will deliver what you've asked for time and again, and we will take back control of our borders. And let me tell you why.
Because you can't. How can you?
I know
They're going to get through it anyway.
People who like politics will try to make this all about politics, about this or that strategy, targeting these voters, responding to that party. No, I'm doing this because it is right, because it is fair, and because it is what I believe in. Let me put it this way. Nations depend on rules, fair rules. Sometimes they're written down, often they're not. But either way, they give shape to our values, guide us towards our rights, of course, but also our responsibilities, the obligations we owe to each other. Now, in a diverse nation like ours, and I celebrate that, these rules become even more important. Without them, we risk becoming an island of strangers, not a nation that walks forward together. So when you have an immigration system that seems almost designed to permit abuse, that encourages some businesses to bring in lower paid workers rather than invest in our young people, or simply one that is sold by politicians to the British people on an entirely false premise, then you're not championing growth, you're not championing justice, or however else people defend the status quo. You're actually contributing to the forces that are slowly pulling our country apart. So yes, I believe in this. I believe we need to reduce immigration significantly. That's why some of the policies in this white paper go back nearly 3 years. Why I told the Labour Party conference, taking back control is a Labour argument. And why, most importantly of all, inward migration is already falling with this government. It's about fairness. But look, I mean, migration is part of Britain's national story. We talked last week about the great rebuilding.
It was the same in America a long time ago. In the 20th century, earlier 20th century.
And they make a massive contribution today. And you will never hear me denigrate that.
Immigrants going over there from
But when people come to our
the
country,
Republic of Ireland.
they should also commit to integration, to learning our language. And our system should actively distinguish between those that do and those that don't. I think that's fair. Equally, Britain must compete for the best talent in the world, in science, in technology.
Put hands up the right side screen, please.
You can't simply pull up a drawbridge, let nobody in, and think that's an economy that would work. That would hurt the pay packets of working people without question. But at the same time, we do have to ask why parts of our economy seem almost addicted to importing cheap labour, rather than investing in the skills of people who are here and want a good job in their community. Sectors like engineering, where visas have rocketed while apprenticeships have plummeted. Is that fair to Britain? Is that fair to young people, weighing up their future?
He's very right-winged, isn't he?
Out on those apprentices?
Very
To
right-winged.
see colleges in their community almost entirely dedicated to one-year courses for overseas students? No, I don't think that it is. And truth be told, I don't
In
think
the
any-
nursing industry, it requires people from
Yet
abroad.
that is the Britain this broken system has created. So as this white paper sets out, every area of the immigration system, work, family and study, will be tightened up so we have more control. Skill requirements raised to degree level. English language requirements across all routes, including for dependents. The time it takes to acquire settled status extended from 5 years to 10. And enforcement tougher than ever, because fair rules must be followed. Now, make no mistake, this plan means migration will fall. That's a promise. But I want to be very clear on this. If we do need to take further steps, if we do need to do more to release pressure on housing and our public services, then mark my words, we will. But it's not just about numbers, because the chaos of the previous government also changed the nature of immigration in this country. Fewer people who make a strong economic contribution, more who work in parts of our economy that put downward pressure on wages. So perhaps the biggest shift in this white paper is that we will finally honour what take back control meant and begin to choose who comes here, so that migration works for our national interest. You know, this is where the whole debate is skewed. As if some people think controlling immigration is
You can't stop them coming
reining
in.
a sort of natural freedom,
There's no way of stopping them.
rather than the basic and reasonable responsibility of government to make choices that work for a nation's economy. And for years, this seems to have muddled our thinking. But let me be clear, it ends now. We will create a migration system that is controlled, selective, and fair. A clean break with the past that links access to visas directly to investment in homegrown skills. So that if a business wants to bring people in from abroad, they must first invest in Britain. But also, so settlement becomes a privilege that is earned, not a right. Easier if you make a contribution, if you work, pay in, and help rebuild our country. Now, some people may even be against that. But I think for the vast majority of people in this country, that is what they have long wanted to see.
It's not possible.
An immigration system
A lot
fair,
of British people
that works
don't want to
for
do
our
those sort of jobs where the pay is
that
underpaid.
restores common sense and control
A, and B, a lot of youngsters today,
That is what
parents
this
paid money,
will deliver.
kitten, they don't have to work part-time or anything like that. They have an easy life.
Backing British workers. The start of repairing our social contract, which the chaos and cynicism of the last government did so much to undermine.
We can't win. We can't win.
Thank you. I will
Keir
now take
Starmer.
a number of
We
questions
can't win.
from the media.
It's just not practical.
The accurate list
It's
here,
never going to work.
starting with Chris Mason, BBC.
I'm afraid to say it won't work. It might be, but it won't. I'd like it to work.
You're commenting today that net migration will fall every year between now and the next election, come what may.
Well, I'm promising it will fall significantly, and I do want to get it down by the end of this Parliament significantly. That is what this plan is intended to achieve.
Oh, good luck on that, mate.
It's opposite of what you saw in the last.
It's impossible.
It is frankly incredible that net migration quadrupled in 4 short years to nearly 1 million. this white paper, these plans, bring it back into control, make sure it's controlled, that is selective, that we decide who comes to this country, and that it is fair, and that's what we will do.
It's expensive. We pay more tax for
and as
it.
I've indicated, if it becomes necessary
possible.
to take further measures, then that's what we will do. Thank you.
Well, like the last government did.
ITV.
Report them abroad.
ITV. And probably you know that the countries that want to grow are in a global race for top talent. Your number one priority is growth. Haven't you shot yourself in the foot by insisting that those who want to be citizens now have to live here twice as long as those who want to be American citizens? And if I may, we've just heard that there will be a 90-day massive reduction in the tariffs that China and America are imposing on each other. Are you relieved that at least temporarily they've laid down their economic arms?
Well, let me take both those points, but I'm not encouraging two questions each because we've got to just get through this. On the growth question, I do think this is worth taking some time on, because the theory that higher migration numbers necessarily leads to higher growth has been tested in the last 4 years. So we've had the highest net migration when the last government lost control to nearly 1 million, and stagnant growth. And so that link doesn't hold on that evidence. The second thing is that this white paper is not just a white paper on immigration, it's also a white paper that deals with skills and training. And one of the reasons that we've had stagnant growth, in my view, for years, is because we've underinvested chronically in skills and growth. So by putting skills and growth into the same plan as migration, which is something businesses have been asking for years, you actually answer the growth question as well. And I should say, as a footnote to that, as you heard in the speech and you'll see in the white paper, in relation to high talent, where we want the very best into the country, we will have routes to get that talent into this country. And I think there's real potential for us to do so in the current environment, and we intend to do so. On the question of the China tariffs, I just saw something flash up in the room back there. I'm not across the complete detail. I'm very pleased, obviously, that we struck our trade deal with the US last week, which will be measured in very many thousands of jobs and billions of pounds into our economy. Thank you, Robert. Sam from Sky. Sam.
Sam Sky News. Prime Minister, just to pick up on growth and migration, one of the reasons that we've had a laxer migration policy for years is because of basically the Treasury view. Successive chancellors, their fiscal rules, and the way that interacts with the official forecasts means it's always been an easy win to have more growth.
Hands up the right side screen. This is Sky on Sign Gems.
To the Treasury, to the OBR, and are you doing anything to actually change the way that they work and look at all this stuff and calculate the cost-benefit analysis of growth and migration?
Yeah, well, thank you, Sam. Just succinctly, and then adding to the answer I just gave. Firstly, the pure theory, if you like, that simply higher migration numbers necessarily leads to higher growth, I think has been tested in the last 4 years. We quadrupled in actually a very short period of time. And, you know, I think whatever political persuasion you are, it is quite extraordinary that net migration quadrupled in 4 years. We've never seen that before in this country, but growth didn't shift. It stayed stagnant. Secondly, this point about skills and migration, what businesses have been calling out for a long time is link migration to the skills and training we need in this country. In the past, governments have done sort of knee-jerk reductions without making that link. We're making that link in this paper, which is really important in terms of where we go with the economy, because I do think it's underinvestment in those areas that's caused a lot of the problem. The other thing that the paper is doing is readjusting the model, because it's got to a place now where there's many more low skilled jobs rather than high skilled jobs. So by adjusting the threshold for skills,
this is Sky Special on Sign AGMs.
Areas of high skills, which are more likely to make a significant contribution to our economy.